Are you coming back to school with me? We could have done it all so easily.
Hi, my name is Craig Thompson-Wood. I'm your host on Teaching with Board Games. Here today to take a look at a game which is not one I'd recommend for the classroom, and I'll discuss why later, but is one I absolutely recommend for people who like to challenge their brains and stretch their thinking in different ways. One of my favorite games of all times, Dungeon Lords. So as I'd said at the beginning of the month, I was going to be looking at some games and battle reports and things which aren't necessarily classroom based, just games which are fun and promote fun learning, and are games that you can play at home and which I would recommend for home. Dungeon Lords is one of those games. Dungeon Lords, as I say, is one of my favorite games of all times. It's just got so much going for it. It's got the most hilarious rule books I've ever read in my life. Just the way things are written in there, very fun, very funny, good examples. They have nice sort of setups on teaching how to play the game. You know, some tutorial boards to use. Interesting things that you can be learning from this game through the play of it. It's just a real brain burner, and that's one of the reasons I love it so much. I love games which sort of challenge your thinking in those ways. But let me not get too far into it before I take you to the report card. So looking at the number of players for Dungeon Lords, I'm going to give it a B+. Now the game says it plays between 2 to 4 players, which is always my B. So you're like, okay, why the B+? Well, because on Board Game Geek, there is on the forums, there is a user who has created rules for a solo play of the game, which I have played multiple times, and I think is absolutely brilliant. I'm going to be putting a link for that one down below in the comment section or note section. So look to that one if you want to look to play this game solo, because like I say, 2 to 4 is my B range. B+, usually it's like a 1 to 4 player game or something. So that's what I'm looking at there. It's because I consider that one good enough that although it's not official rules, I consider it one that definitely people should be aware of, and that pushed it to the B+ for me. For learning for this game, I'm going to give it a B. After all the talk I did in the intro there about how great this game is and stretches your brain in multiple ways and so much thinking, it does. But the thing is that you're with the thing. It's very, very puzzly in determining how are you going to deal best with these adventurers who are coming into your dungeon. How are you going to, what monsters are you going to hire, what traps you're going to lay, the order that you put them in, and lots of different things that you're thinking about. And like, I love that the fact that they have in the beginning, they have these boards which give you tutorials which say you can get rid of these adventurers in only lose 1 dungeon tile. And that'll make more sense when I show you how the game is played. But so you know there's a solution. But when you're playing the game for real, you're going to come into situations where there's different things happening, but you're not going to know, like, is there a perfect solution or something. I think that, you know, there's it just really challenges your thinking in ways to see things, and maybe you will notice or think about it later. Thought, oh, well, if I'd done it this way, it could have been different. But while it's very puzzly, there's not always a right answer, and that's so. I love the fact that it's got all these great things that you're thinking about. But like I said, there's really no way of knowing, did you do it right? Did you do it the best? There's no. I mean, if you have a good, you know. If the other players are looking at your board, they may be able to suggest something after the fact. Say, well, hey, look, you know, I saw what you did there, but now that the adventures have gone through the dungeon, maybe if you'd done it this way, it could have worked out better. That might be a nice way to help the learning, but yeah, so like I say, there's no real way to know. The reading is actually quite minimal because a lot of the stuff is just done with pictures and symbols on the boards and stuff. So reading the rule book would be about the extent of the reading you're doing in the game. Some of the cards have a little bit of reading on them, but not a lot. Math is very minimal as well. So in terms of the actual any kind of curricular reading, it's not a lot there. But like I say, this is like when I do Rebus puzzles with my class, or Tribond, or one of these things where it's like I'm getting away from curricular learning because I just want to stretch their brains and thinking in other directions and just get them creatively thinking outside the box. That's what this game does really well. It does this very sort of creative thinking that you have to plan for all these things that are happening. That's what I love about it. So overall, like I say, I think it's great for what it does, but it's sort of balances out with the things it doesn't do. So for learning, I give it a B. For fun, I give this game an A+. No questions. I mean, like I said, this game is one of my favorite games of all time, and I Absolutely love it. There is just so much fun that's happening in there. There's so much replayability in the game because every time you play it, there's going to be different adventures in different orders. There's going to be different things happening on your board where you're maybe thinking of going one direction, but then things are not available to you, so you have to switch your plans midway. Different adventures coming in, just different events happening through the course of the year. So I just think there's so much replayability, so much fun in this game that it's absolute A+ for me. For time, I'm going to give the game a B. The game takes about 2 hours. Yeah, and that sounds like a long time. Some people think, geez, 2 hours for a board game, that's such a long time. Yes, it's not a short time, but when you're enjoying the game as much as I enjoy the game when I'm playing it, then 2 hours goes by in no time at all. Like if I was forced to play 15 minutes of Snakes and Ladders, I would be crying for that to be over long before it was actually over. So 2 hours in this, and it's going to be over before I know it. So it's, yeah, I mean, when the time, it's one of those things, does it overstay its welcome? Do you feel like it's too long? This one, I feel it's just right. It's just right in there, and it's neither too long nor too short. I mean, the 2 hours is a long time, so I recognize and I'm aware of that. But because I'm not recommending this game for classrooms and things, I'm not dropping the grade for that. But just knowing that you need that amount of time for it. So I do give it the B. For cost, I'm going to give the game a B. The game costs about $100, and this is for the anniversary edition. Like, if you're going to buy the game, you can get Dungeon Lords, which is not just Dungeon Lords. It's about half the size of this box. Well, maybe 2/3, and it's got the base game. The Happy Anniversary Edition includes all the different expansions that were included. There's 2 different expansions that are in there. I can't remember the names of them off the top of my head because I've always just played with this Happy Anniversary Edition. The other ones include other things like different expansions, different monsters, different paladins who can come to lead the heroes down into your dungeon, and different events. They can add a bit longer onto your year. You have the festival season and everything. So a lot of different expansions. You can add a few in, or none in, or all in, or whatever, however you want to do it. But I would, if you're going to get the game, if this game sounds at all good to you, maybe look at some other videos and things, which is what I did before I bought it. I looked at some videos on how it was being played. I looked at some videos as to just some reviews on it and everything, and once I really felt solid about buying it, I went straight into the Happy Anniversary Edition, and I'm so glad I did, because if you buy the base game and then the expansion separately, you're going to be paying a lot more money. So if this game sounds good to you, then go for the Happy Anniversary Edition, because you will be saving money in the long run. So yes, $100, but again, when you pay $100 for something that you're going to be playing over and over and over again, which is what I've done with this box. I mean, I've played it many times now, and I know I'm going to be playing it many more times, so it's definitely worth the money that I paid for it. So, definite B for me. All right, let me take it to the table, and I'm going to show you really quickly how this game is played. So before I actually set up the board to show you how the game is played, I want to show you this. This is one of the things I love about the Happy Anniversary Edition of the game, is that it comes with all of these different things set up to keep your game all nicely organized in between plays of the game. So you have here your room tiles, you have some special magic items here. Baggies, it comes with the baggies for all these different things you need, your imps, your trolls, your things like that. Has your second level adventures, your first level adventures, your paladins. Gold, now even the gold in this edition comes with these little metal coins, which is really super nice. Plus it came with these containers to keep everything nicely secured. Your food and your trackers for different things. Then all of your cards you need here, and then your tunnel tiles down here. So so when you take these out, and these are sort of recessed to help hold the boards in place, you have your regular game board, and then you have your different player boards. Now this is one thing I talked about earlier. Let me just get out the rest of the boards here to show you. And you have your other boards under here, as well as your festival things and your calendar timer here, and then as part of the scoreboard and the festival thing. So But let me just show you these, and this is what I'm talking about with the thing. So this is the player board. This is the player board for the yellow player. And so when the yellow player is playing, they just take this board and they open it up if they can figure out how to do so. There we go. All right, so now this is the yellow player's player board. So on the player board, this is where the adventurers are going to be coming in. This is where the paladin will go, because the paladin's a little larger. Trap cards will go here, and it tells you the order of things for when the adventurers come in. I'll explain that later. This is where you're going to be tunneling and building your dungeon into this area here. The adventurers always come down the steps here into the first room or tunnel of your dungeon. Your imps go here, your traps go here. This is your food, your gold, and yeah, this is where your administration imps go, and these are your order cards. So, and this is the dungeon where captured adventurers will go. Now, I'll explain what all this means in a little bit, but just wanted to show you the board. But now, like I say, on the back of each board, and for each board is different. So here you see it's got a slime monster, and these traps. Here it has this trap with those monsters, different adventures for each one. So there's 4 different puzzles here. And this is a tutorial, so anytime I've played this game with somebody who's never played it before, I always go through the tutorials with them here, because it's really important for them to understand how these things work together, the traps, the monsters, and everything to defeat the adventurers, and understand how the combat system works. Now, I'm a big believer in just getting down and playing the game as soon as possible, because I learn best just by doing, and I know a lot of people I play do as well. Like, I mean, if somebody tries to explain rules to me, after a few minutes I'm only retaining a small percentage of what they're saying, so I need to just get down to it. This allows you to actually play the game without playing the full game. I mean, you don't want to go through the full game and trying to figure out as you're going along and just completely messing everything up and getting frustrated. This is a contained scenario of these adventurers are coming. These are the traps you have available. This is the monster you have available. You have this gold available. How do you defeat these adventurers? And do it in such a way that you do it, they'll get past one room and then you get them the next time around. They'll only ever defeat the first room that they come into. You can't prevent that. And there is a way, and so you just need to figure out how are you doing that. And so then there's another one for this one. So this is number 1. So this is the easiest one to do. This one I showed you here first. This was the number 3 of 4. So number 1's quite easy. So you have a boulder trap, you have a goblin, a troll, a gold, a food, and these adventures are coming. So you have 2 barbarians here, a cleric, and I'll explain more what those numbers and everything mean as well. And then this one with the ghost and the witch, a plate of poisoned food, you have a food token, and they're coming after you. And then a slime monster, flame, a firewall, poison dart, and these ones, or it was an anti-magic, some kind of dart. And yeah, so you play through those things, and it's just, it gives the person who's learning a chance to learn the game and how things are going to work and what they're going to be doing during the play of the game. Like this is just the combat section of the game. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happens beyond this part, but you need to understand this part so you can plan accordingly as you're playing the game. Okay, so enough of the introduction. Let me show you the full game. So this is a setup for a 3-player game of Dungeon Lords. With 3 players, you're going to have 3 players. We have yellow, we have red, we have blue with proper setup boards, whereas the green player here just has the dummy board, which is just going to be, they're using these just to indicate which orders the green players are going to be taking without actually taking the orders. They're just going to be occupying spaces and perhaps blocking some of the other players. So you have some knowledge of where they can't go, but just hoping that they're not going to block you for places you need to go. So what I love about this game too is it has this beautiful iconography right across the thing here showing you what you're doing at different stages of the game. So as you're starting off here, you start off in the winter and you play your way through 1 year. Once you've done 1 year, you combat the adventurers who are gathering, and then you go into a second year. So it's showing here, first thing you're going to do is you're going to put down rooms. So the rooms, you're putting down 2 rooms in the thing here. Now the room tiles are either silver or gold. The silver ones in the first year, that's in the second year. So these are 2 silver year rooms. In the silver rooms, you get a lot of production rooms. These are the rooms that are going to help you to gather resources and things that you need for the game. You then put down 3 monsters, which you put down here. So we have a slime, a troll, and a ghost. Ghosts are not actually monsters, but I'll leave you to understand that for yourself when you do the game. You're revealing the first of the 3 events, and these are going to, they're the same 3 events, so you're always having the same 3 events, you just don't know in which order they're occurring. So one is an event, the other one is a taxation, so they're taxing all your tunnels and that you have, 1 gold for every tunnel. And the other one is your monsters want to get paid again, so whatever you paid for your monsters, you're paying it a second time. So revealing this first one here, we see it's got looks like a card with some text on it. Now in the first game they say just ignore that, make it treat as a nothing, but you take one of these cards and it has the text on the back. So we're looking here, and a monster strike. Each monster and ghost demands 1 part of its cost, player's choice. Those who do not get paid are turned upside down and cannot be used in combat this year. They still require payment on payday. So this is something, this will happen at when this token crosses here. So you just need to keep that in mind for that moment. So maybe just don't get a monster before then, because you're not going to need the monsters until the end of the year. But if all the players do that, then everybody getting monsters they want at the end of the year is going to be a little trickier. So just again, that is full knowledge that's happening, and you just have to mitigate your circumstances for that. And then the final thing is you're putting in adventurers. So you're taking 4 adventurers and you're going 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you put them in like so. What you do then is you rearrange them. So anything that's a lighter one, and you see these are lighter, but they're also the symbol. This looks like an F. This is an F with 2 dots. These ones are going to come forward. So you just keep them in the same order. So these 2 come forward. These are the stronger ones, and the stronger ones go front, and then the other ones will come in after. And each of these has special powers. Thieves are good at disarming traps. Wizards cast spells. Warriors push to the front. And there's also clerics who will heal the party. So that shows all the iconography taken care of. So now we go into the order phase. In the order phase, on each board you have 2 orders which are going to be unavailable to every player. These are just randomly determined on the first turn, but after that it's going to be whichever orders were in the second and third spaces will slide up and be unavailable for the next round. So that's an important part of the consideration as you're placing your orders. So every placer is going to play their orders. The orders are going to be representing what you're doing on the board here. So you're either taking food, improving your reputation with the villagers, you are mining to dig tunnels, mining to get gold, gathering more imps, getting traps, getting monsters, or getting the rooms. So this is all going to be very important. Really what it comes down to, the crux of it, is defeating the heroes as they show up. Now the heroes are going to come in 3 different stages, you'll see them, but there's also in 3 stages that they come to your dungeon. So you will have 3 adventurers who will be coming into your dungeon, possibly the paladin if you get evil enough. If your reputation gets so bad, then the paladin who's up here will come. The paladin has the abilities of all the heroes combined, but is worth a lot of points if you can defeat the paladin. So really, everything is coming down to being able to defeat those heroes. Everything you're managing here is to grow your dungeon, to get more tiles, more tunnels, more rooms, and more gold and things that you need to hire monsters and such. But it really comes down to defeating those heroes and making sure that you have everything you need to do that. So food can get imps, food feeds some monsters, reputation can make you less evil, so you're getting the easier heroes to defeat. Can also give you a chance to peek at the combat cards, which you're going to be fighting the heroes with. Tunnels, extend your dungeon, give you space for rooms and other things. The gold is going to be useful for paying your taxes, for activating some traps and things, buying traps, and then imps are good for all sorts of different things. Traps, of course, for getting rid of the heroes, monsters for getting rid of the heroes, and then rooms can be for a number of different things. A lot of production rooms, trap rooms, all sorts of things that can help you out. This is your evil track here. So as you improve your reputation or ruin your reputation, then it'll go up towards the evil side or down towards the good side accordingly. If you ever pass this line, you get the paladin. So as I say, you go through 1 full year. After the first year, the heroes come into the dungeon. You have to defeat them. and then hopefully they don't destroy your dungeon too badly. Then you go to the second year, you get better rooms, better monsters, better things, but also stronger heroes. You do that the second year. After that, game is over. And that, in a very quick sense, is how you play Dungeon Lords. So that's going to wrap it up for the Dungeon Lords episode. One thing I am going to be doing this coming week is I'm going to be doing a playthrough. I'm going to do a battle report, if you will, on the solo mode of Dungeon Lords. I've never seen a solo mode version of it being done on the battle report before. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to play through that and show you how it's done. And one, because I love the game. Two, because I just want to showcase this solo mode, because it's just a great way to be playing. Because if you have the game and you just can't find anybody to play it with, well, playing it by yourself isn't a terrible thing. In fact, I love the solo mode. I think it's a really well designed thing without changing any of the rules. You don't need to change any of the cards or anything. It's just the way that things are done. It's just a little bit different, and I think it's great. I love it. So look forward to that one for next week. And I'm also going to be looking to maybe doing Dungeon Pets, which is another of Vlaada Chvátil's games. And this one is the same sort of theme, but these are the the monsters who are coming here. This is the pet store, so the people who are coming, you're managing a pet store of these monsters, and trying to make sure that you raise them properly with it, so they don't get sick, they don't get depressed, and selling them to customers for the greatest benefit, putting them in shows and doing all these different things to earn your points. Again, very wonderful, thinky, brain-burning game. Again, one of my favorites, so be doing that one too over the next couple weeks. So, Dungeon Lords, Dungeon Pets, Vlaada Chvátil for the rest of the month. Woo! All right. If you have any ideas for games you might like to see on the channel, or any content you might like to see, battle reports, anything like that, please let me know in the comment section below. Love to hear from the viewers. Love to know what your thoughts are. How can I give you relevant content that you would like to see? And until next time, I'm Craig Thompson Wood, your host on Teaching with Board Games, saying thanks for coming to the classroom.
Are you coming back to school with me?